Hello everybody, my name is Katie, your current AI and urban planning specialist. Today I want to discuss with you one of the largest issues I am seeing in the world of city planning, primarily on a governmental level, and discuss some methods of resolving and addressing this issue through the power of AI. For the purposes of this discussion and tutorial, I will be looking at smaller communities and how they can solve the problem of community engagement, its advantages, disadvantages, and a way in which to better navigate the planning of community engagement events through the use of new technologies. Before going further in depth on the importance and difficulties of community engagement in the urban planning realm, I would like to share a story from my personal experience so far in the field. While working with a city in Texas over the past 6 months, I have seen the amount of effort that goes into making community engagement events to plan for different communities. However, with this, I've also seen the areas in which things have fallen short. Due to lack of staff and time, there are areas in which the city is unable to properly converse with the public in the events I speak of. As planners, we rely on these events to guide us in making the best decisions possible for our community. However, it's hard to achieve this when we are not equipped to handle the task given. Community engagement is one of the most important matters to ensure that a city's urban planning department is working for the benefit of the community. It ensures inclusive decision-making. It promotes social equity, and it enhances the effectiveness and sustainability of plans and projects. By implementing community engagement, we participate in inclusive decision-making, where we ensure diverse perspectives are considered. This can enhance the opportunities for stakeholders and the community by providing overall support for future urban planning plans and policies. Furthermore, by doing these events and engaging underrepresented groups, we are able to identify and address disparities within the community. This also gives a sense of being and community by giving people a place to discuss their problems and promoting the social equity of the group involved. Lastly, by implementing community engagement events, we can learn about the community's values, goals, priorities, and aspirations to ensure that our designs are relevant and respond to local needs, enhancing the effectiveness and lifespan within the community, making our plans more long-lasting and sustainable. Now that we have learned how great and useful community engagement events can be, let's see some reasons as to why they aren't implemented or why they are not implemented to their best abilities. The reason we either see a lack of community engagement events in smaller communities or we see them done improperly is due to 3 main factors: time, staff capacity, and budget. Many urban planning departments are facing a multitude of large issues and are spending their days working hard towards solving such occurrences. As urban planning is a new and relatively small field, many departments are overworked, especially when looking at smaller towns and cities that are just starting such departments and efforts. Thus, due to the overworking of staff, their working time is spread thin, making the time available to create community engagement events small, if not non-existent. To effectively create community engagement events, it takes multiple steps and ones that cannot be rushed through in the standard method of working if you are wishing for a good result. However, this is what most planners are forced to do, simply due to a lack of time. Now we get onto the issue of staff capacity. As discussed already, many urban planning departments are overworked with large tasks. Along with this, many are limited in the number of employees to work on these numerous assignments, thus creating a problem when wishing to engage with the community. From having a lack of staff to man the event, to having staff power to create deliverables for the events, the numbers and capacity are just not there in most departments. Lastly, budget. While some events can range in cost depending on size, location, and amenities, the budget we are discussing here refers to the extra amount of time used to facilitate and design these events. We have already discussed the amount of time these events take to plan, but we must also consider what they take to facilitate, and altogether, the amount of paid hours this is taking away from other projects and out of the monetary budget. So I said that we would be solving some of these difficulties with the power of AI. But what is AI anyway? Today we will be talking specifically about generative AI. Okay, so what is that? IBM defines generative AI as deep learning models that can generate high-quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on. These technologies can range from free online software to paid computer software. Because of the focus of this tutorial is on small, underserved communities, I will focus on the free software options or options that would already exist for a city if you were most likely to use them. Because of the reasons I discussed, I will show you how to use ChatGPT, as it is a tool to help generate community engagement event plans and resources. Okay, so now I've brought up another thing that's probably new to you. What is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a language model developed by OpenAI that uses artificial intelligence to create human-like responses based on prompts inputted by the user. Its abilities range from engaging in conversations, answering questions, providing explanations, and performing other various tasks. There are two main levels of ChatGPT. Today we'll be looking at the free version that is available for everyone. However, if you find this tutorial useful and find yourself using the platform more, I would recommend looking into the paid version of the platform, which allows you to do much more, including image generation, code writing, and image recognition, along with many other additional features. However, for today's purposes, we will be discussing mostly the engaging in conversation and task and writing abilities that ChatGPT has to offer. Okay, so now that we have some background on what AI is and how it works, what are we going to do with it? How does it help us create community engagement events? Through using ChatGPT, we can create agendas, community outreach letters, and best plans of action. It can take a lot of time out of the creating process by doing things automatically, generating deliverables within seconds just with a simple prompt, rather than an urban planning employee having to take time to sit down and think of everything, type it out, and design the event. ChatGPT gives us a starting point in which we can be given ideas, layouts, and information in order to move forward with the task at hand faster. Additionally, one of my favorite parts about using ChatGPT is how conversational it is, which we will look at more in the revision section of this document. It allows us to feel as if we have someone there to give feedback, bounce ideas off of, and learn from someone, rather than feeling alone in community planning event creation process. This fact is important to me as I discussed previously. A lot of urban planning departments and small communities are relatively small. You may only have one planner, or two, but they're so spread thin that they can't take time out of each other's schedules. This gives us that communication that we might need to be able to get our thoughts out there. So now that we have an idea of what we can do, let's see how to do it. So the first time you use AI or start messing around with the platform, you probably have little to no knowledge of how to ask ChatGPT to get what you want. So let's look at what you would first do without any knowledge of how to use the platform and tell ChatGPT, make a community event for the city of Bowie, and let's see what we get. Okay. Now, I don't think this is what either of us was planning on getting in response. It gives us a cultural festival for the city and outlines events that could be done at this celebration. However, this is not what we wanted as urban planners. We wanted an event in which we could discuss urban planning, not just a social event for the city. While this is a great idea and could be very useful for someone, it's not really useful to us and what we were intending. So we have to start thinking about how to fix this. But before we get into the main steps of solving this problem, I want to discuss the importance of brainstorming before we start such a process. While AI can help us create and design these events, it is still important to have a starting point for what you want this event to accomplish. Maybe think about the problems in your area or common urban planning problems. Think about what has been discussed in city council meetings and social media and get a starting point. Talk with city managers, the mayor, and other team members about what they think you need for the community involvement and go from there. If you are completely in the dark, hey, guess what? AI can still help. Even if you don't know much about it yet, ask those simple questions to the AI bot and see what it gets you. Play around with the software and learn how it talks. This is one of the most important steps in learning how to confidently use AI. Let's engage in some brainstorming ourselves. I want it to be on a Tuesday after work, so that way it's not to conflict with sporting events in our town. So let's go ahead with Tuesday, August 9th at 6 p.m. and have it last 2 hours. I also want to ensure it's at a location that everybody knows. So let's go with the community center. It's large, it has enough space for people, but it's also local to town. I want this to be the first session, so we don't have to focus on specific problems quite yet, more general ones. So I will let AI fill those in as we start working on this project. Most importantly, I want to talk with the community a lot. I don't want to present something the whole time. I want feedback. And lastly, because I want this level of feedback, I want it to be fun and engaging for those that are involved. Okay, so now that we've done some brainstorming, I think both of us have a better idea of what this community event that we're going to be talking about today is going to look like. But we still really don't know how to get that from the AI. The answer is prompting. Prompting, prompting, prompting. So now I've dropped another word on you. What is prompting? Prompting is the process in which we ask ChatGPT what we want it to do. However, there are many levels to prompting. In the previous example, I showed you the beginning level of prompting, where we just ask what we want without necessary information, where we ask ChatGPT to just create an event. But in order to use prompting effectively, we must look at 6 main components. These 6 main components include the task, context, exemplar or example, persona, format, and tone. The task is what we want to accomplish with the prompt. This is a mandatory component of the prompting process to get a response from ChatGPT. If left out, ChatGPT will typically not give you the response that you're looking for. While it will still respond, it'll either ask you to give it more information or will kind of just have a conversation with you rather than creating or discussing or reviewing something that you need. So typically, when writing this part of your prompt, it is important to start with an action verb, such as write, create, or review. The context is the easiest way to understand context is when you ask and answer these 3 questions. What is the background? What would be considered a success? And what environment is this in? For example, it's a small city and we want to get feedback on the city. This is an important step in the prompting process as it gives the AI something to base off of. If you don't give it a little bit of context or background information, it won't be able to give you a proper response. The exemplar is a fancy way of saying examples. By providing examples, the AI is able to generate a better product. However, this is not necessary for every prompt and is just nice to have. The persona is who you want the AI to act as. For example, for us today, we're going to ask it to act as a city planner, talking with their community. This is nice to have and can ensure that the format and information included in the AI-generated product is in line with your needs. The format is the way in which you want the response to look, such as an agenda, an essay, code, bolding and italicizing, etc. This is nice to have to ensure that you get back a format that works with what you need. And lastly, tone. Tone is the way we want the response to sound, such as friendly, professional, confident. It is also nice to have, and one, make sure that what is created is in line with our audience. And two, since generative AI is pulling from a large data source, the language used is not too hard to understand or convoluted. AI has a large range of freedom in some areas. So by using these prompting skills that we've discussed, we make that area of freedom smaller, and it is more in line with what we want for our end goal. Take this prompting process almost as if you're training your lower employee or a new employee. You have to give them some context of what they're doing. You have to set the tone with them. You have to let them know what their position is and all those kinds of things if you want them to succeed. AI is the exact same. Okay, so now that we understand how to prompt using ChatGPT, let's try to create a response, and let's try an example. Okay, so we have our 6 components. Let's take, you are a city urban planner for Bowie, Texas, a small town, less than 5,000 people in north central Texas. Create an agenda for a community outreach event for community citizens to attend. This event will be about the current city and will ask citizens to discuss the main areas of concern. The meeting will be 2 hours long with an intro at the beginning. Have this be a brainstorming meeting, engaging the citizens to talk with members about the issues of the city. Follow a business but friendly tone. Let's find the 6 components now. First, the task. We see this in the sentence, create an agenda for a community outreach event for community citizens to attend. We see how we started with the action word, create, and lined out exactly what we wanted as an end result. Okay, now context. This event will be about this current city and will ask citizens to discuss the main areas of concern. We see how we give the AI context of the event, who it will be about, who will be included, and the type of discussion. The persona is next. You are a city urban planner for Bowie, Texas, a small town of less than 5,000 people in north central Texas. We're letting the AI know who it is working with. As in this example, it is working as us. However, you have the ability to change this in other prompts to even be a community member and give you feedback on what you've created in the end. Next, format. The meeting will be 2 hours long with an intro at the beginning. Have this be a brainstorming meeting engaging the citizens to talk with members about the issues of the city. This allows us to get exactly what we want while we let the AI know that the task and the type of response we wanted, i.e. an agenda. We didn't let it know how long the event would be or how we would like the event to be ran, so we put that here. And lastly, tone. Follow a business but friendly tone. This way is professional but also easy to understand and adapt. You will see that I did not use exemplar in this prompt. Like as I said before, it isn't always necessary, but just nice to have. However, an example in which to use for this prompt would be to include a previous event's agenda, so it can format it in a likewise way to the way in which your team has worked in events in the past. You could also look at other cities and their events and get inspiration if you find one that you like there and use that as your example. You will also see how we included those 5 main points from our brainstorming session that only took us a couple seconds. Now it's time for the hard work, but that's why what we have AI for. So now let's see what AI gives it when we ask it the full message that we have just created You are a city urban planner for Bowie, Texas, a small town less than 5,000 people in north central Texas. Create an agenda for a community outreach event for community citizens to attend. This event will be about the current city and will ask citizens to discuss the main areas of concern. The meeting will be 2 hours long with an intro at the beginning. Have this be a brainstorming meeting, engaging the citizens to talk with members about the issues of the city. Follow a business but friendly tone. Let's see what we get. We've answered almost all the components. Now we have something that we can work with. It gives us a timelined agenda for the allotted time we provided and is an urban planning event rather than just a community event, looking at what the city is in need of. It outlines the different sections that we want, and you can see how through the use of prompting, we have an event that we can use and edit to the ways that would best fit your team. Now, it might not be perfect though, and we might need to make some edits, like I said before, but we can fix that to suit our standards through the power of revision and AI, of asking more questions and giving it more tasks. Okay, so let's take a deeper look into what it gave us. You must now ask yourself if this event would work for you and your team or if adjustments need to be made. When I look at this outline and think about how it would work for my team, I don't think my team needs 30 minutes of networking. That could be done during or after the event rather than as a key part of the event. Could also be done by people coming and talking to us at city offices, etc. It doesn't need to be what we focus on. The community is pretty tightly knit. Also, I would like to know more about how to run the facilitated discussion section of the event that ChatGPT created. It gives us those groups in which I think we want to look at. When I said I was more general and was going to let AI create those items, but I want to see how it thinks it should be done. So let's make those edits. First, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to take out the networking and refreshment section. As we see, I did not have to add additional information to the prompt, as it is going off the initial prompt it received. I'm just asking it to make a simple revision, and it does it perfectly. It outlines the timeline, but minus the section, and now we have the full agenda again, without the unnecessary section for my team. Next, let's ask ChatGPT, how would you do the facilitated discussion? I want to gain a better understanding of how to break that large chunk of time down and how it views the event. Okay. I don't know if I quite like that. I was picturing more of a small group for facilitated discussions in which they rotate around multiple areas and hit each group. This way, we'd have a brainstorming goal rather than more of a discussion, I guess I could say. I want a lot of community feedback, as I've said before. So let's have it make that change using what we've learned through prompting. I'm going to ask AI to design the brainstorming session as a small group discussion session in which the meeting attendance would break into 4 groups for the 4 facilitated discussions and rotate around hitting each group. Here we see how, unlike the past 2 actions I have asked ChatGPT to do, I have included more detail. Again, as I wanted to make design and decision changes accordingly. I have included a task, context, and description of the change I wish to make. Okay, now this is more of what I wanted. It focuses on the group discussion that I want, breaks it down into different topic sections, and shows us how we can time these out to be most effective to plan the action for discussion. So now let's have ChatGPT put these changes together and see if it looks right for us today. Okay, perfect. Now that the agenda is done and is in line with the brainstorming session we had, it gives us ideas for the discussions and a full breakdown of how to spend the time we have allotted for this event. With a little practice of prompting and learning how AI works, I believe that you have mastered using AI through prompting and revision to create a well-rounded community engagement event agenda. A little side comment I would like to make here before we continue to work through this tutorial is that because of the way in which ChatGPT AI model is created, it will not be able to give you the exact same response every time. So if you were to put in my prompts, you may get something a little bit different than I did here today. But do not fret. This is why we use prompting and revision to get exactly what we want. This is where those examples come into play to try to narrow down the range of freedom of generative AI. On one side, while its freedom is a great task that allows a lot of opportunity, I know sometimes it can be a little hard to navigate. But like I said, today I've given you the toolbox of ways of prompting and revision to narrow down that freedom and get what you need in the end. And we've done that here today with this document. We have our agenda, we have everything we want, but do we? Do we have everything we want? When we think about a community engagement event, it's a lot more than just the agenda. There's additional documents, additional things that need to be planned, different community boards that might need to be also discussed. So let's take a look at some additional documentation that ChatGPT might be able to help us with today. So I already touched on it a little, but what else do you need to help create these events? Well, first off, how about social media or mail invitations? In order to get the word out there to the community, there has to be some way in which we send it out. Now, you have to also keep in mind your community might be social media based, it might be website based, or you might have an older population that's just used to getting stuff in the mail. So we can use ChatGPT to help us write those invitations. And not only that, well, we also need boards for those small group discussions that we're going to do, right? We need boards or slides or key points or things like that for our discussions. So let's use what we've learned today a little bit deeper and looked into how prompting can let ChatGPT create a couple more of the documents that we might need today. As we've already discussed, the event and the persona we wish AI to take, we can skip that here and just do the task and format and refer to the agenda we created as the context. So let's look at social media and the mail invitations first. For the event, create an email/social media send out to inform the community of the event. We will hold it on Tuesday, August 9th at 6 p.m. at the City Community Center in Bowie, Texas. Make this announcement fun, friendly, and easy to read. Okay, so now let's see what it gives us. So here you can see how we included the task, context, format, and tone, and we got a great response back. I really like how that email looks to send out or to transition into a social media or caption or post. You will also see how it gives us brackets where it says your name. If you were paying attention before, it also did that on the agenda where, since we didn't give it the date until just now, it had time, date, and everything else brackets. So it'll give you more information that you can go in and fill out as you see fit. But this seems great to me. It lets people know what's going to be happening. It tells them to talk to their community and make sure everybody's aware that it's going on. And it also makes sure that there's a line of contact in between us and the community themselves. Okay, so now those boards we were talking about. So let's ask them to create text and information to put on each facilitated discussion board for the following groups. Group 1, infrastructure. Group 2, economic development. Group 3, public services. And Group 4, community development. Also, give ideas on how to design each board. So these groups were already given to us from the agenda, from talking with AI the first time and having it let us know what it thought would be important in those discussions. And since this is the first meeting, like I said before, I want to be a little bit more broad. So infrastructure doesn't have to be just roads. It can be just infrastructure, and the community can give us the feedback of what type of infrastructure is important. Okay, great. Now we have a starting point for our boards as well. It gives us the text, title, key points, and design ideas for the board. While it does not give us the exact text for the boards like I initially discussed, that's okay. You learned about revising and editing. So from here, you can choose to make edits or take what it gives you and design based on these points. So, I'm going to do a little bit of a summary, and I hope from today you've learned a new tool set that you can use either as an urban planner or in your respective field. Today we saw how, through prompting, we can prompt ChatGPT to create community outreach planning, event agendas, send-outs, boards, and learn the best practices in which to facilitate and organize discussions. ChatGPT is a great starting point for getting into the world of AI and building your skills and knowledge of how the technology works before diving into other forms of AI that might be beneficial. Due to its quickness of use and easy adaptability, ChatGPT is what I recommend you learn on for the next time you're working on a community engagement event to cut down on the time, money, and resources and stress that these events can cause. You got this. I believe in you. Use your skills you've learned about prompting and revision here today to work towards bigger and better things. Before we go, I do want to answer some questions that I had when I first started doing this. One of those being, how do I go about using AI and not overusing it or not pushing too far? And in that form, I want to reassure you that in the world we live in today, I don't think there's a point of pushing it too far. And as long as you are keeping a good stance and not plagiarizing or pushing too far, then you're fine. Use it as your tool. Use it as your crutch. It is here to help us. I know a lot of people right now in the world are scared of where AI is going to go. I know there's legislation going on right now, kind of marking the way it's going to shape our future. But we all know, we've already seen that it has the possibility of changing the way we do jobs, changing the jobs available to us, and we must be willing to accept that change. AI has the ability I showed you one portion. I showed you of how to just help create community engagement events, but it can go so far as to analyze the data from these events for you, analyze GIS data, mapping data, housing data, all within an easy step, and all for a relatively fair price as long as you learn how to use the tools that you have. I'm not the only person that you can learn from today. There's many other people and many other tutorials, and I believe that you can do this. You got this. Even if today or this year or right now, you're only going to look at agendas and send-outs and boards, that's okay. You still have this, and you've started the process, and once you've started, it becomes a lot more fun to work with. Like I mentioned before, I love how conversational ChatGPT can be. It gives me the ability to sit there and have a conversation with somebody, even if my department isn't very big, or if I'm a freelancer and don't have the time to talk with somebody else, or I just don't have a team. It's conversational. It gives you somewhere to start off of. And you don't have to be specific all the time. I know I talked about a lot of prompting methods today. I talked a lot about make sure you brainstorm and make sure you follow all these 6 components. But if you're just having a hard day and you just need a little push in the right direction or a little way to go, then just do what you can do and ask the question that you can ask. And most of the time, now that you already have a little bit of knowledge about prompting, just that initial question is going to be a lot better than what you started with before watching this video today. And lastly, before I get on to the very ends of this presentation, I want to note that we have our agenda, we have our stuff. You're going to take this and put it into a Word document, put it into a social media post, etc., etc. If you have anxiety or you're not too sure if you like the way it looks, guess what? AI can help you there too. Take a copy of it and put it into ChatGPT. I would recommend in a separate chat, not in the same one in which you created it, and ask it to review it and give you feedback. Read the feedback, read its review, see how you feel and if there's anything you want to change. And if you think it's good, send it on. I know a lot of us in today's world can battle with that and battle with it being good, but I bet you it is. And like I said multiple times, you got this. From this tutorial, I know that you got this. So, now wait, I know I've been talking for a little while, but before I say goodbye to you today and send you off with either a new knowledge of AI or a more developed way in which to use it, I want to take this one step further. In order to limit the amount of time taken out of other departments as well as your own, I would like to note that ChatGPT is not the only resource that you can use. There are many out there. With a little research, you can find even more ways to become more efficient in using AI. When it takes to creating flyers, poster, and social media deliverables, we are all well aware that those can take extraneous amounts of time, especially if you do not think you're artistically inclined like myself. But do not fret. AI has our backs with this as well. Take your time, look into more tutorials, and continue to learn more things about the large world of AI and all the possibilities it has to help us. From Canva to Microsoft and the new ways they're now looking into AI, to Adobe and their AI products. Not everything AI related has to be a new software that comes with this new cost of using. Trust me, AI is becoming the new way of the world, and it's being integrated into everything we do. So take a little bit of time every day and learn a little bit more. Look into tutorials. Whenever your software pops up with a new AI possibility, click on it. Just read, take 30 seconds. See if it would suit your needs and see if it would help you on your day-to-day life. Because I know, sitting here today, all of us are very busy. Between personal time to businesses, and especially in the world of urban planning, we're fixing problems from years and years of changes. And we're trying to do our best, and we have this weight on our shoulders to make sure everything is perfect. Let AI take a little bit of that weight off of your shoulders and move forward with this product and do what you know how to do best, be an urban planner, and think about the ways in which AI can help you more in your job. I want to say thank you for your time today and watching my tutorial. I did not learn all of this just because I'm amazing and oh my goodness, it was off the top of my head and it was oh so easy. Here are some education videos and articles that I use to help me in my AI education journey. There's many people out there that have much wonderful videos than the one I have here today that are able to help you and shape you into what you need. Again, you got this, and I hope you know that this is your first step in your AI journey and that it will not be your last. I believe in you, and this will be a great journey, and I very, very much hope that in your next community event that you plan, or maybe even your first community event that you plan, you can use AI to take some of the stress off of yourself and create an event that is best suited for not only you, but for your community, that takes off the amount of time, staff capacity, and budget, that shows you just how great you can be, where you can hit all of the amazing things that community engagement has to offer us. But not be as stressed. And take a deep breath and have something that can help you. Thank you and Gig'em for being here today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at KaitlinHiggins@tamu.edu and take your time to learn more today.